You probably have a picture in your head of the perfect couple, two people devoted to each other, building a life together, side by side, until the very end. It feels natural, it feels right, it feels like the way humans were always meant to live. But that picture is not ancient, it is not biological, and for most of the human history, it simply did not exist. The idea that humans are naturally built for monogamy is one of the most widespread beliefs in a modern world. It shapes laws, religious dating apps, and wedding vows. But when scientists started looking at the actual evidence from biology, from ancient bones, from hormones, from DNA, the story they found was far more complicated and far more interesting. So, where did this idea come from? And what were your ancestors actually doing? To understand this, you have to go back, way back, around 2 million years ago. Your early ancestors were living in small groups on the grasslands of Africa. These were not coupled in houses. These were bands of maybe 20 to 50 people moving together, hunting together, raising children together. The idea of one man and one woman alone building a private life was not even possible. Survival depended on the group, not on the pair. Researchers like David Barash, a professor who has spent decades studying animal mating systems, point out something important. Only about 3 to 5% of all mammal species practice everything close to monogamy. 3 to 5% humans are mammals. And when you look at the biology, the numbers start to tell a very uncomfortable story. Here is one of the clearest signs. In species where mammals compete heavily for access to females, the males tend to be much larger than the females. Gorillas are the good example. A male gorilla can be nearly twice the size of the female. That size difference exists because of thousands of years the males fighting each other. The biggest, strongest male won. In species that are truly monogamous, males and females tend to be about the same size. Where do humans fall? Somewhere in the middle. Human males are about 15 to 20% larger than human females on average. That gap suggests a history of some competition, but not as extreme as gorillas. Scientists call this modern diaphragmism, and it points to the past that was either fully monogamous nor fully one male dominating a large group of females. Something messier, something in between. Then there is the chemistry. Your body is loaded with hormones that push you in very specific directions. Oxytocin, sometimes called a bonding hormone, surges when you touch someone you care about. It builds attachment. It creates the feeling of wanting to stay. But here is the thing. Oxytocin does not make you want only one person forever. It makes you bond to whoever is close to you right now. It is the bonding tool, not a loyalty contract. And alongside oxytocin, your brain also produces dopamine, when drives novelty seeking and excitement. The same reward system that fires when you fall in love also respond to new faces, new experiences, new partners. Your brain did not evolve to feel nothing when you meet someone attractive. It evolved to notice always. Anthropologist Helen Fisher, who has spent her career studying love and attraction across cultures, argues that humans evolved three separate but overlapping systems. One drives lust, one drives romantic attachment, one drives long term bonding. The important thing she found is that these three systems can operate independently and sometimes point in different directions at the same time. You can feel deep love for one person and strong attraction to another simultaneously. That is not a flaw. That is biology doing exactly what it was built to do. So why do we pair up at, at all? If the ancient default was not strict monogamy, where these partnerships come from? The answer most researchers now believe has to do with children. Human babies are unusually helpless for an unusually long time. A foal can walk within hours of birth. A human child needs years to instant care before it can even begin to function alone. The helplessness created a problem. A mother alone could not easily hunt, gather, protect herself, and raise a child through infancy. She needed help, and the male who stays close, who contributed food and protection, gave his children a dramatically better chance of surviving. Staying together was practical. It was not romantic. It was a survival strategy. Researcher Sarah Hardy, a biological anthropologist, those work changed how scientists think about human childcare, introduced a concept called cooperative breeding. Her research showed that in early human groups, raising children was never a two-person job. It was a community job. Grandmother, aunt, older siblings, and even unrelated group members all helped care for young children. The idea of the nuclear family, just two parents and two children, sealed off from the group, is extremely recent. For most of human history, children were raised by many hands. What does DNA tell us? When scientists study ancient human remains and look at patterns of genetic relatedness in old buried sites, they find something unexpected. In many early human communities, men and women were not necessarily living with their biological relatives. Groups were mixed. People moved between communities. Partners came from outside the immediate group. This pattern of movement suggests that early humans were not forming tightly bonded exclusive pairs and staying in one place. They were fluid, connected to many people, not locked to one. Then agriculture changed everything. Around 10,000 years, humans started farming. Land became property. Food became storable. Wealth became possible. And suddenly, for the first time in human history, it mattered enormously who your children were. A farmer who cleared land and built a farm wanted to pass it to his biological heirs. To be certain those heirs were his, he needed to control who the mother of his children spent time with. Strict monogamy was not a biological truth, it was an economic solution to a property problem. The rules around marriages, fidelity, and family structure that feel ancient and natural are mostly agricultural in invention. And when you look at the full sweep human cultures recorded by historians and anthropologists, monogamy as a strict universal rule is actually the minority position. Anthropologist George Murdoch catalogued hundreds of human societies across history. The overwhelming majority allowed or practiced some form of multiple partnerships, whether openly structured or loosely arranged. Strict lifelong executive monogamy was found in the smaller number of societies. The world your ancestors lived in looked very different from the world you were taught was normal. None of this means love is not real. None of this means commitment is impossible. The capacity for deep, lasting bonds is observably part of your biology. Oxytocin is real. Attachment is real. The feeling of wanting to build a life with someone is real. But so is the rest of it. The restlessness, the attraction to novelty. The way new people can still catch your attention even in the happy relationship. Those impulses are not signs that something is broken in you. They are signs that you are carrying millions of years of much older story inside you. Modern society built an entire architecture of rules, rituals, and explanation around one specific model of partnership. And most people quietly wrestle with the gap between model and what they actually feel. The shame around that gap is modern. The gap itself is ancient. You probably have a picture in your head of a perfect couple. Now you know the picture was painted only 10,000 years ago, and the story underneath it is 2 million years old.